In this section of the course, we're going to be configuring GitHub Actions to run some automated tasks whenever we push changes to our project. So what is GitHub Actions? Well, GitHub Actions is an automation tool. It's a similar tool to things such as Travis CI, GitLab CI/CD, and Jenkins. So if you've heard of these tools before, GitHub Actions is basically the equivalent of those tools for GitHub. Simply put, it allows you to run jobs anytime your code changes. These jobs allow you to automate certain tasks. The common uses for GitHub Actions are to handle deployment, to handle code linting, and to run unit tests. So you would automate these tasks whenever you make changes to your code. In this course, we're only going to be using it for running our code linting and also running our unit tests. We're not going to be covering the deployment part in this course because that's quite a complex process, and we actually have a specific course just dedicated to teaching how to set that up. So how does GitHub Actions work? Well, you start by setting up triggers. So triggers can be anything that happens to your project on GitHub. There are various different trigger options. They're all documented on the GitHub Actions website. The trigger that we're going to be using is whenever code is pushed to GitHub. So that is the push trigger. When this trigger occurs, for example, when the code is pushed to GitHub, you then set up jobs that run when that trigger is hit. So for example, the job that we're going to be setting up is going to be to run unit tests. Then when the job runs, there will be an output of that job, and the output is either going to be successful or fail. If it's successful, then you get a green tick and everything is fine. If it fails, then you can get notified via email, or you can just see it in the GitHub Actions console that something has failed and there are some changes that you need to make to your code. Now let's talk about the pricing of GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions is charged per minute. So that is the minutes used up for running jobs. However, you get 2,000 free minutes for all free GitHub accounts. And this should be more than enough for following the steps in this course. If you need more minutes, then there are various different plans available on the GitHub website that allow you to upgrade and buy more minutes for your projects. But you shouldn't need to do this unless you're running a big team or you have a project that is very development intensive, that's running a lot of CI minutes on GitHub Actions. So that's an overview of GitHub Actions. Now let's move on to the next lesson.